أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالحسين عليه السلام. وجعلنا وإياكم من الطالبين بثاره مع إمام المهدي عليه السلام. Too much love in dunya can make us make decisions, can make us forced to make decisions that we regret later. Too much love for something in this dunya would make us blind. As they say, love is blind. That is the worldly measures, the love of worldly measures that is blind. We have actually a tradition that says, حُبُّكَ شَيْء, if you love something too much, يُعْمِي وَيُصِمْ, it makes you blind and deaf. There was a person, one of the students in the seminary, the Islamic seminary, that had a very nice watch that somebody gave him. So he looked after this watch very well, and he kept looking after it, looking at it, and enjoying having this. And one day, this person was so sick and was about to die. So people around him, they started doing what we say talqeen, which is saying certain beliefs before we leave this world, which is very important in that world of near death. And they were saying to him, say La ilaha illallah. And this guy was just replying while he wasn't well, he was going to die. He was replying to that call this way: don't break it, I'm not going to say it. And they kept saying La ilaha illallah to him to repeat, and he just replied, don't break it, I'm not going to say it. Anyway, this guy was lucky and he survived that experience. And when he came around and he was well enough to talk, people around him asked him, what was the story? We kept telling you, say La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. And you said, don't break it, I'm not going to say it. He said, before I answer you, bring that watch, the nice watch that I had and I loved so much. Bring that to me with a hammer. They said, okay, we'll bring the watch and the hammer. He got the watch and started breaking it with the hammer. Everybody was so surprised. What happened? You love this watch so much. Why are you breaking it? He said, I'm breaking it because I loved it so much. I was about to die. And you were telling me that I should say my belief, like La ilaha illallah, for example. At the time, Shaitan was coming to me and saying, if you say La ilaha illallah, I'm going to break your watch. And I was saying, don't break it, I'm not going to say it. So if you love something too much, this is just the story that happened to a person. But the moral of the story is loving something more than what that thing deserves would cause problem for us in this world and makes us blind and deaf. We got to the end of dunya and to the world that is near death. And we said the message, the general message about dunya, how to deal with it, is to use dunya purposefully and remembering what dunya is for. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Aslihu dunya, fix your dunya, is good. Wa'amalu li'akhiratikum, and work for your hereafter. How? كَأَنَّكُمْ تَمُوتُونَ غَدًا, as if you are going to die tomorrow. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, live for your dunya as if you live in it forever, and live for your hereafter in a way that you're going to die tomorrow. When we are going to die tomorrow, and we know that, if we know it for sure, that we are going to die tomorrow, then certain things we observe that we may not pay attention if we are ghafil, if we are ignorant of our death. We wouldn't try to gather too much of this dunya. We wouldn't try to spend too much for worldly measures. We wouldn't try to fight over things with each other. We wouldn't be jealous of each other. We wouldn't try to harm and hurt others because we know we're gonna die tomorrow. What's the point? And we know that we may not get the opportunity to say sorry to others. So we say sorry to everybody and we stop hurting them. Somebody might say, so what's the point of asking Allah for elongating the period that we were in this world to give us longer life? Imam Sajjad alayhi salam in a dua asks for longer life, but with a condition. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says, وَعَمِّرْنِي, O Allah, give me longer life. مَا كَانَ عُمْرِي بِذْلَةً فِي طَاعَتِكَ, as long as my life is spent in worshipping and obeying you. فَإِذَا كَانَ عُمْرِي, if my life is becoming مَرْتَعًا لِلشَّيْطَانِ, it's becoming a place for shaitan to come and enjoy himself and take advantage of me, فَقْبِضْنِي إِلَيْكَ, then take me towards yourself. I don't want this life. Before قبل أن يسبق مقتك إلي, before your wrath comes on me, أو يستحكم غضبك علي, or your anger comes on me, your wrath comes on me with a punishment. They say that one day the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam, Sarah, said to Ibrahim alayhi salam, why don't you ask Allah to give you longer life? Ibrahim alayhi salam asked Allah to have the authority to announce the end of his life himself, so he can live as long as he thinks is enough. And Allah granted him with that. Then there were some guests coming to Ibrahim alayhi salam's house. There was an old man sitting there, very old and very frail. So Ibrahim alayhi salam looked at him, that he became almost blind, that old man, and he could not even bring the food towards his own mouth. Even bringing a mouthful towards his mouth was difficult for him. So others had to help him. So Ibrahim helped him. And when he saw that, he said, oh Allah, I do not want to have the authority to live as long as I think is right. I ask you to take me when you think is the right time. We don't know when is right and wrong, but we need to be prepared for that when it comes. For this preparation, there are things that we can do to remind ourselves. For example, is recommended to write our will. Apart from the fact that with your will, you are giving certain recommendation or advice to other people that are going to do it after you left, which could be very good for you. Also, you with the will, writing your will and updating it, for example, every year, you reminding yourself that you may leave this world very soon. And this is not for somebody who's sick and he knows that, for example, he's got cancer or something, he's going to die. No, it's for everybody. Also, it's recommended to buy our shroud, kafan. And kafan is something that there are certain things are recommended to do about it as well. Even if you're well and there's nothing wrong, it's mustahab to buy your kafan. It's mustahab to write on your kafan, dua Jawshan al-Kabir. And it's mustahab to write on your kafan shahadat, which is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله وأشهد أن عليا ولي الله. Some people write the approval of others about their belief based on the riwayah that says that if 40 people, 40 mu'min, 40 believers confirm and confess that this person is a good person, Allah will forgive his sins. And they say that Allama al-Majlisi did that on his shroud, on his coffin. He asked other people to write on that we do not have any doubts regarding this person's belief. La rayba fi imanih. So they kind of signed it. Or it's mustahab when somebody is going to be buried, other people come around it and they say, Allahumma inna na'lamu minhu illa khayra. We do not know anything bad about this person. This is very important. There's a story that in the riwayat says that Dawood alayhi salam knew a person that was amongst his people. He was a hypocrite. He was just doing show off. Lots of things that he was doing was a show off. He wasn't a real mu'min as such, but in front of others, he acted as a very good person. He didn't commit sins in front of others. So people, 40 people or more, confirm that they say that he is a good person. So Dawood found out that this person is dead and he is in heaven of Barzakh. He asked Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, how come this person was doing riyah, was doing show off in front of others without being a real good person? Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said that didn't you see that 40 people confirmed that he is a good person? For that reason, I forgave him. This shows the importance of being in a community and being good at least in front of each other. Like this, people will confirm each other's belief at the time of death, and Allah is kinder than that, will forgive them. Imam Ali alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, wrote a poem on the shroud of Salman al-Farsi. It says, وَفَدْتُ عَلَى الْكَرِيمِ بِغَيْرِ زَادٍ, that I am going towards this person, this Allah Ta'ala, who is Kareem, who is generous, who is kind and generous. بِغَيْرِ زَادٍ مِنَ الْحَسَنَاتِ وَالْقَلْبِ السَّلِيمِ. I don't have any good deeds. I don't have that qalb al-salim that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says, if you want to go to heaven, you have to have qalb al-salim. He says, okay, I don't have any of that. Confess that. وَحَمْلُ الزَّادِ أَقْبَحُ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ إِذَا كَانَ الْوُفُودُ عَلَى الْكَرِيمِ. Imam alayhi salam says, say like this to Allah, that is not polite if you are going to visit a generous person. Let's say that we are traveling from here going to another place, and over there we are going to be the guest of a very generous and kind person. Imam alayhi salam says, it's not polite, it's not nice, it's in fact is something bad that you take your own food or your own things that you need yourself for that trip, while you are the guest of this generous and kind person. Like this, we leave things in Allah's hand and saying that, oh Allah, we are your guests. You look after us. Also, as we said, the other thing that is very important to do is talqeen. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, لَقِّنُوا مَوْتَاكُمْ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. One of the things that you have to say is La ilaha illallah before you go. These things help. If we look at talqeen, almost all of it is just about belief. Majority of what we say at the time of leaving this world, for example, saying that we believe in Allah, basically Tawheed, we believe in An-Nubuwwah, we believe in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, other prophets, we believe in our Imam alayhi salam, saying we believe in Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam, and other Aimma alayhi salam. We believe that Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha was Sayyidat al-Nisa al-Alameen, for example. We believe in Barzakh, we believe in resurrection, we believe in As-Sa'ah, the time this world will be destructed. We would believe in Ba'ath, in coming back to this world. We say that we believe that we are going to come out. إِنَّكَ تَبْعَثُ مَنْ فِي الْقُبُورِ. Oh Allah, we know that you're going to bring us out of our graves. We believe in Hisab, we believe in Sirat, we believe in Mizan. All of those are belief. And it's important for us to learn our beliefs. If you don't know what we're talking about, how are we going to bear witness before we leave this world? Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala said, أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يُدْرِكْكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. Death is something that would feel you, would take you, like as if you take something to feel it. And also it says, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Any soul is going to be a taster, a person or thing that you are a person, you're tasting something. Says Allah Ta'ala in Quran says, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ, any soul is going to be a taster of death. That shows that death is not really something that literally comes after us and take us. Even though in the riwayat, they say that death is after you, it's because the time is after you. Because as if the time is chasing us. This is a simile. But the reality is that death is something that we take it in, we feel it. And that feeling is just, even though it's an obligation, but it's something that we take in. Like the way we said, Imam alayhi salam said, it's like taking your dirty clothes off. Imam Ali alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, said that, إِنَّ وَرَاءَكَ طَالِبًا حَثِيثًا مِنَ الْمَوْتِ فَلَا تَغْفُ. After you, there is something like from the death that is coming to you, there's something that is chasing you. And do not be ignorant of that. That's the way we think about death. It's the time that is after us. And we know that. Every moment we are getting closer to death. We know that we started basically dying from the time we were born. It's just we don't know when we are going to die. And for us, they're getting a bit older. Every white hair and white beard, for example, any crease on our face, anything that shows weakness of getting older, is a reminder that you're not going to stay here forever. Get ready. The grave, the alam al-barzakh, basically what we said as grave, is not far from us. Imam alayhi salam again in another place said, أسمعوا دعوة الموت. Listen that death is calling you. أسمعوا دعوة الموت آذانكم قبل أن يدعى بكم. Before death makes you hear him, you hear death yourself. Listen to it. Which means you are aware of something that is coming to you. If I am aware of a car that is coming towards me, then I can do something about it. But if I am ignorant of that until the time that the car is very close to me, then it's too late. The question that some people ask is that, does it matter where we are buried? Short answer is that not really. Doesn't matter much where we are buried. Because some people are insisting on being buried in certain areas. Yes, it's good. Overall, it's good to be buried in a nice area, to be buried in some place that the people after you, if they want to visit your grave, they're not going to go through difficulty, if you can. But the reality is that being next to a mu'min doesn't mean that necessarily we get any blessing from that mu'min. We do not even get blessing from being next to a mu'min in this world. There were people who lived next to the prophets, but they were disbelievers. They were in hell themselves. For example, the wives of Nuh and Lut alayhim salam. There were people who were hypocrites around Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as Quran says. And being buried in somewhere in the middle of nowhere, it doesn't mean that you are not a good person. Not having a big funeral with lots of flowers and lots of rich people with nice cars and limousines. If you don't have that, doesn't mean that you're not a good person. And if you have it, doesn't mean that you are a good person and you go to heaven because of that. So the only thing that matters in the funeral is the fact that you got some believers, some good people come and recite some Quran for you. They send their blessings and their salawat on you. They say nice things about you and ask Allah for your forgiveness. Otherwise, there were people who got killed in the middle of nowhere, like Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his companions and family. Their body was left there for days. We say in Ziyarat Nahiya al-Muqaddasa, Imam Zaman alayhi salam sends his blessings and he says, Assalamu ala al-ajsad al-ariyat. Because they were looted, their corpse, their bodies didn't have clothes on them. Imam alayhi salam says, As-salam ala al-mujaddalina fil falawat. Those people who were left in the desert. As-salamu ala man dafanahu ahlul qura. The villagers around that area, they buried Imam alayhi salam. So as we said, the short answer is that no, it doesn't matter much. We just need to remember that death is a transfer from here to Barzakh. And as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, is the first stage of your journey in Akhirah, in hereafter. Al-Maut أول منازل من منازل الآخرة وآخر منزل من منازل الدنيا. We had stages in this world, and death is the last stage. On the day of Ashura, when majority of, after the companions became shaheed, and the majority of Ahlul Bayt, even Qasim ibn al-Hasan alayhim as-salam, became shaheed. Imam alayhi salam said, bring me my little baby. The little baby of Imam Hussein alayhi salam was about 6 months. Imam alayhi salam says, Nawalini, bring me my little baby. Nawalini waladi as-saghir hatta uwaddi'ah. I want to say goodbye to my little baby. And Imam alayhi salam came in front of the crowd, those people that came to kill Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And he said, إِلَّمْ تَرْحَمُونِي فَارْحَمُوا هَذَا الطَّيْفِ يَا قَوْمِ. Oh, if you do not have any mercy on me, have at least some mercy on this little baby. Oh, that Mal'un Harmala threw an arrow which slaughtered the baby of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Oh, my baby, I am going to ask the enemy to give you some water if they agree. I know you are hungry and thirsty. As-salamu ala al-radi'. My father, what would the baby say? My father, even though I'm little and baby, I will be soldier of your army and will be soon thirst free. فرماه حرملا بسهم فوقع في نحره فذبحا. Oh Allah, this is our sacrifice we're offering. For you I'll give my offspring, no matter how much suffering. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammadin wa ajjal farajahum. We ask Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, for the sake of the shuhada of Karbala, for the sake of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his companion and family, forgive us, forgive all our sins right now, and keep us on the right path. And we ask Allah to give shifa, to give healing to all our sick people, to all people who are in need. We ask Allah to sort out their financial problems. We ask Allah to keep our children, the true followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And we ask Allah to keep Imam al-Zaman alayhi salam satisfied and happy with our deeds, and make us the true soldiers for Imam alayhi salam, to serve him when he comes to us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.